Hello there. Welcome back to Muggle Snuggle. It is so lovely to have you here again tonight. Just take a moment to get yourself comfortable. Pull your duvet up, nice and snug. Settle into your pillow and take one slow, deep breath. Let the day melt away. Tonight, we continue our journey through Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. We are on Chapter 4. It is called The Keeper of the Keys. Now, before we begin properly, let us gently remind ourselves of where we left off. Harry Potter has been living with the Dursleys for nearly 10 years. His Aunt Petunia, his Uncle Vernon, and their dreadful son Dudley. Harry sleeps in a cupboard under the stairs. He is small for his age, and thin, and wears Dudley's old clothes. In the last chapter, something very peculiar happened. Harry began receiving letters, mysterious letters, addressed to him in green ink. The cupboard under the stairs. Harry Potter. The Dursleys were terrified of these letters. Uncle Vernon tried everything to stop them coming. He tore them up. He burned them. But they kept arriving. Eventually, Uncle Vernon panicked so much that he bundled the whole family into the car and drove them away. They drove for hours through the night until they reached a tiny little island off the coast. There was nothing there except a miserable old shack, cold, damp, dark, and very far from anywhere at all. And that is where we find ourselves now. It is the night before Harry's 11th birthday, the 30th of July. Harry is lying on a camp bed in the shack. The wind is howling outside. The sea is crashing against the rocks. Rain is hammering on the roof. It sounds like someone is throwing pebbles at the window. Harry is not sleeping. He is lying there, in the dark, listening to the storm, thinking about tomorrow, his birthday. Will anyone wish him a happy birthday? The Dursleys certainly will not. They never do. Last year they gave him a coat hanger and a pair of Uncle Vernon's old socks. The year before that, nothing at all. The shack is very small. There is only one room. Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia are sleeping on mattresses. Dudley has taken the camp bed because he is bigger, and because the Dursleys always give Dudley the best of everything. Harry is on the cold floor, wrapped in a thin blanket, just lying there, listening to the waves. Outside, the storm grows louder. The wind shrieks. The waves pound the shore, and Harry finds himself thinking, in a quiet, wondering sort of way, about the scar on his forehead. That strange lightning bolt-shaped scar. He has had it for as long as he can remember, but he does not know where it came from. Aunt Petunia told him he got it in the car crash that killed his parents. That is what the Dursleys always said, that his parents died in a car crash. That they were unemployed good-for-nothings. That they were shiftless and irresponsible. Harry has heard it so many times now that he almost believes it. But sometimes, late at night, like now, Harry wonders, why does he have no photographs of his parents? Why does Aunt Petunia flinch whenever someone mentions the Potters? Why does he have this scar? If it was just a car crash. Little questions, floating in the dark, like boats on a quiet sea. And then, just like that, the clock strikes midnight. It is the 30th of July, Harry's birthday. He lies there for a moment, feeling the seconds tick by, and then bang, 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 a tremendous knocking at the door, so loud it shakes the whole shack. Harry sits up. His heart is pounding. Bang, 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 someone is knocking. Very hard, very insistently. Uncle Vernon stumbles out of bed. He is wearing his dressing gown. He looks furious. He looks terrified. He grabs something from the corner of the room. It is a rifle. A real rifle. Uncle Vernon creeps to the door. He is trying to look brave, but his hands are shaking. Bang, bang. The knocking comes again, and then, crash, the door bursts open. It flies right off its hinges. Cold rain and sea spray blast into the shack. And there, standing in the doorway, is the biggest man Harry has ever seen in his life. He is simply enormous. His face is almost completely hidden by a long, shaggy mane of hair and a wild, tangled beard. You can barely see his nose, let alone his eyes. His hands are as large as dustbin lids. His feet, in their leather boots, are like baby dolphins. Rain is streaming off him like water off a roof. The giant steps inside. The floorboards groan under his weight. He squeezes past the doorframe, ducking his great head, and looks around the little shack. Then, in a voice like thunder rolling across the hills, he says, "Could I have a cup of tea? I would not say no to something to eat. It has been a long journey." Uncle Vernon is frozen. His mouth is opening and closing like a fish. He still has the rifle. He raises it, pointing it shakily at the giant. The giant looks at the rifle. He chuckles. A deep, warm, rumbling sort of chuckle. Then he reaches out, takes the barrel of the rifle, and bends it, like it is made of rubber. This is Rubus Hagrid, the keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He knows Harry's name. He knows everything about Harry. And tonight, on this stormy island, he has come to deliver a letter. A very important letter. The letter that will change Harry's life forever. Hagrid squeezes himself down onto the camp bed. The wood creaks alarmingly. He reaches into his coat pocket, a coat that seems to contain an impossible number of pockets, and pulls out something slightly squashed. It is a cake, a sticky chocolate cake, with green icing on the top, and written in green icing are the words, "Happy birthday, Harry." Harry stares. He cannot speak. He has never in his whole life received a birthday cake from anyone. His throat feels tight. His eyes feel hot. Someone remembered. This enormous, wild-looking stranger remembered his birthday. Harry whispers, "Thank you," and Hagrid beams at him. A great, wide, beaming smile. But then Hagrid turns to Uncle Vernon, and his expression changes completely. The warmth drains from his face. His little black eyes go cold and hard. In a low, dangerous voice, the kind of voice that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, Hagrid says, "I suppose you gave him the letter. Did you not?" Uncle Vernon goes very pale. He opens his mouth. He closes it again. Hagrid stands up. He is so tall his head brushes the ceiling. Bits of plaster fall down. Hagrid says, You read those letters, did you not? You knew he was going to get them, and you tried to stop him. Harry's heart is hammering. Hagrid is furious now. His voice booms through the little shack. He tells Uncle Vernon that Harry has a right to know, that it is not up to the Dursleys, that Harry has been kept in the dark long enough. Uncle Vernon tries to protest. He says, "We put a stop to all that nonsense years ago." Hagrid's eyes flash. He tells Uncle Vernon that he should be ashamed of himself, that Lily and James Potter were the finest witch and wizard of their generation, and that their son, their Harry, has been living in a cupboard under the stairs for 10 years. Dudley whimpers from behind his mother, and then Hagrid says it. The words that change everything. He leans down toward Harry. His great hairy face fills Harry's whole vision, and in a voice that is suddenly gentle, very quiet, almost tender, he says, "Harry, I am sorry. I think it is time you knew the truth. Harry, you are a wizard." There is a very long silence. The storm outside seems to pause. Even the waves go quiet for a moment. Harry stares at Hagrid. He blinks. He says, "I am a what?" And Hagrid smiles. "A wizard, of course. And a thumping good one, too, I would wager. Once you have been trained up a bit." Harry thinks he might be dreaming, or perhaps Hagrid is mad. He says, "I think there has been a mistake. I cannot be a wizard. I am just Harry, just plain Harry. I live in a cupboard. I go to a normal school. The Dursleys would have told me if I was a wizard." But Hagrid shakes his great head. The Dursleys knew all along. They knew from the day they took you in. Your parents were famous in our world. And so are you, Harry. Harry Potter, the boy who lived. Harry looks at Hagrid with wide eyes. The boy who what? Hagrid explains. It is the most extraordinary story Harry has ever heard. He tells Harry about a world hidden within the ordinary world. A world of witches and wizards, of wands and broomsticks, of howls and cauldrons, and moving staircases. A world called the Wizarding World. And in this world, Hagrid tells him, his parents were not unemployed good-for-nothings. They were James and Lily Potter, two of the greatest witches and wizards of their time. They did not die in a car crash at all. They were murdered by the most terrible, the most feared dark wizard the world has ever known. His name, Hagrid says, leaning closer, is Voldemort. But as he says the name, Hagrid flinches. He seems almost afraid of the word itself. Most people, he explains, call him you-know-who. No one dares to speak his name out loud. Even now, years later, the name itself seems to carry a shadow. Voldemort was a wizard of terrible power. He had followers, the Death Eaters, who did his bidding. He wanted to rule the wizarding world, to enslave the Muggles, to create a world where only pure-blood wizards mattered, and anyone who stood in his way, anyone who defied him, was destroyed. But the Potters stood in his way. They were part of a group that fought against him, and Voldemort came for them. One night, in a quiet village called Godric's Hollow, he found them. James tried to fight. He told Lily to take Harry and run. But there was no running, not from Voldemort. He killed James first. Then he found Lily. She was standing over Harry's crib. She was begging. She was pleading. Please, not Harry. Take me instead. But Voldemort did not care. He killed Lily too. And then he turned his wand on baby Harry, on a tiny, 1-year-old baby. He cast the killing curse. A flash of green light, and something happened. Something no one could explain. The curse rebounded. It bounced off Harry. It flew back at Voldemort. And Voldemort, the most powerful dark wizard of all time, was destroyed. His body was gone. His power was broken, just like that. And baby Harry, lying in his crib, in the ruins of his home, survived. All that was left was a scar, a lightning bolt-shaped scar on his forehead. That is the scar you have been wondering about all these years. That is the scar that aches sometimes. And that is how Harry Potter became famous. Not because he chose it. Not because he did anything brave. But because he survived. The only person in the history of the world to survive the killing curse. That is why you are known, Harry. That is why every witch and wizard in the country knows your name. The boy who lived. Harry sits very still. He is trying to take it all in. His parents were wizards. He is a wizard. He survived an attack by the most terrible wizard who ever lived. He has a famous scar. It is all too much. Too much to absorb. Too much to believe. Uncle Vernon is making choking sounds. He is turning purple. He shouts that there is no way, absolutely no way, that Harry is going to any freakish school of magic. He says Harry is going to Stonewall High, a normal school. And that is final. Hagrid turns on Uncle Vernon like a bear disturbed from hibernation. He says, calmly, but with a dangerous edge, that Harry will go to Hogwarts because it is his birthright, and because Dumbledore says so, and nobody argues with Albus Dumbledore. Then Hagrid says something else, something that makes Uncle Vernon go very quiet indeed. Hagrid says, I should also tell you that Harry has been accepted at Hogwarts. His name has been in the book since the day he was born. He will attend, whether you like it or not. Harry asks, very quietly, if all this is really true, if he really is a wizard. And Hagrid says, of course you are. And to prove it, he pulls out a pink umbrella from somewhere inside his enormous coat. He waves it gently, mutters something under his breath, and Dudley squeals and grabs his bottom. The pig's tail. Dudley now has a pig's tail. It is curly and pink, sticking out through the back of his trousers. Aunt Petunia faints. Uncle Vernon catches her. Dudley is wailing, and Hagrid looks rather pleased with himself. He says he meant to turn Dudley into a whole pig, but Dudley was already so much like one that it did not quite work. Hagrid turns back to Harry. He says, right then, Harry, tomorrow we are going to London. We need to get your school things, your robes, your books, your wand, your wand. Harry's heart leaps. A wand. His very own wand. He is going to have a wand. He is going to do magic. Hagrid explains that there is a whole street in London called Diagon Alley, where witches and wizards buy everything they need. potions ingredients, cauldrons, broomsticks, spell books, everything. And there is a bank, Gringotts, run by goblins, and that is where Harry's parents left their money for him. Harry has money. He has a vault at Gringotts. He has gold he never knew. All this time, sleeping in a cupboard, wearing hand-me-down, thinking he was nothing, and all along he had a whole world waiting for him, a world where he belonged. That night, after the excitement dies down, Harry lies on his camp bed again, but everything is different now. The wind is gentler, the sea is calmer, and Harry is not the same boy he was yesterday. He is Harry Potter, the boy who lived a wizard. He thinks about his parents, James and Lily Potter. They were real. They were brave. They died to protect him. He feels something warm spreading through his chest, something he has never felt before. It takes him a moment to recognize it. It is hope. For the first time in his life, Harry Potter has hope. And that is where Chapter 4 comes to a gentle close. The Keeper of the Keys has unlocked Harry's future. Tomorrow, a whole new world will open up. But for now, it is time to rest. You have been such a wonderful listener tonight. Just close your eyes, let your breathing slow, and drift off to sleep. There is no rush. We have all night. Good night, sweet dreams, and I will see you tomorrow. Sleep well.